state of the schools for 2025. Really appreciate everybody coming. I think we have a really great program for you tonight. You'll be hearing from me to start, and then we'll actually open it up where our 4 building principals will talk about what's going on in their schools and some of the great things that are all about East Palestine. So before we get started, a couple housekeeping items here for you. Here's our agenda. Hopefully you picked one up on the way in. I'll go over, as I mentioned, a quick overview of the district and then our 4 principals. And then we'll wrap up with some questions and answers for you. So also on the way in, you may have noticed, and they're still back there, but little cards that you can submit a question for, and we'll collect those, and we'll try and answer as many of those as we can tonight. If we don't answer the question, there is contact information on that card for you, so we'll reach out and circle back and make sure that your question does get answered. And those question cards are actually can be placed right up here up front. There's a basket for you where you can submit your questions, and of course, please help yourself. We have a nice spread for you, sponsored by our Nutrition Inc., who does all of our food services. So please help yourself at any time during our program tonight. So I wanted to start first talking about our district, and I really like this quote. It's actually a mentor of mine. He's a former superintendent, now retired. And he told this to me, and it really resonated. Change is temporary, but transformation is permanent. So you're going to hear from me, who's new to the district this year. Several of our principals, administrative team are new to the district. And inevitably, when you have a transition or people new coming in, it's all about what are you going to change? And you get the laundry list of this needs changed, and we wish we could do this differently. And some of those things, we obviously listen to your suggestions and feedback, but also know that we're in this for the long term. And sometimes change is relatively easy, but it doesn't stick. So what we're in the business of is in the business of transformation, right? Really making long-lasting change for the betterment of our kids. So I started this year, and I shared this information with our teachers very first day together this year. These are my goals for the district. These are my personal goals, but they really touch on really all of us here. The first is something that was brought to me repeatedly in my early days, and that was how do we hire and retain quality teachers? And so we're really committing ourselves, and that's one of my goals, to make sure that we're doing just that. The second goal that I had is to provide opportunities for everybody to be successful, all of our students. So that is whether you're in the chess club, the ukulele club, drama club, or an athlete, it doesn't matter. We want to be able to provide you with that opportunity. The third is one that I work on daily, and that's communicating clearly and consistently. And so, I really try to pride myself on being a good communicator. Now, with that, sometimes I fall short, and I understand that, and that's an area that I'm trying to improve upon as well. But just know that that is something that we prioritize here, is that clear communication with everybody in the district. The fourth goal for myself this year was to remember what it was like to be a learner. Sometimes we take for granted those things that we already know, and we forget to put ourselves in the student's shoes and look at things a little differently. It's really hard after you've learned something like riding a bike to be able to put yourself back in that mindset of, well, how do I ride a bike, right? It's kind of already assumed. So one of my goals is to make sure I remember what it's like to be a learner in our schools. And then finally, and perhaps most importantly, that fifth goal is to really become the destination district, right? We want to be able to keep our students here and really put on a great education for them to be successful later in life, no no matter what pathway they choose to pursue. So with that, we have a couple statistics here for you about the school district, our enrollment, our students with disabilities, our economically disadvantagement. We're very happy this year to be able to provide all of our students K through 12 with free breakfast and free lunch daily. And so we are classified by the state as 100% free and reduced lunch, 100% economically disadvantaged. But we have about 60% of our students actually meet those federal guidelines that put them below that poverty level. And then another item that we're really committing ourselves to this year is attendance. And we've seen some really great improvement this year. And you might be sitting here thinking, boy, I don't like getting those truancy letters in the mail. And that's sometimes a good thing, right? But we're really trying to make sure that our students are here every day ready to learn. And you're going to hear from our principals here this evening about some of the programs that they've put into place to help support our district attendance rate. Here is our most recent school district report card for you. So the state went to a 5-star rating system most recently. And you're rated overall and then also on each of the several components of the report card. So our overall rating was at 2.5 stars overall, and that's not where we want to be right now. So we're taking some pretty significant steps this school year, and certainly as we move forward to make sure that we're no longer at 2.5. We always want to see that forward progress. And as a district, you can see that we, for the most part, averaged 3 stars across the board. That progress measure is another area that we've identified that we want to work on. If you've ever heard of the value added, right, how much students grow in a year, that's an area that is measured underneath that progress indicator. And so that progress indicator, we're taking those steps to make sure that regardless of if the student is a typically high achiever or somewhere else, we want to make sure that we're promoting that growth with them. And then here is also some encouraging news, right? So although we're maybe not where we want to be overall, there is, behind the scenes, winning is taking place. So if you look at our student achievement, all the way back from 2020 until now, we've improved pretty significantly, about 7 points or so. And so we're trending in the right direction. We know that some of the things that we're doing are working, and we're going to continue to stay that course. And later on, you're going to hear Mr. Pavkovich, our high school principal, talk about graduation rates and where we're at. And as a district right now, we're very pleased to report that 92% of our students graduate from East Palestine schools within 4 years after they enter our high school. And I would be remiss if I couldn't do a presentation without sharing this lovely graphic with you. I really like this because it speaks to the nature of progress and success, right? Success is not always a straight line. There's dips, there's curves, there's drawbacks, there's forward momentum. And so we're committed to that process to make sure that we ultimately get to where we want to go. Success is sometimes a little messy, and sometimes that is a good thing. So some of the highlights so far this year, we did a number of hirings this summer as we headed into the school year. We hired positions across the board, whether it was custodians, bus drivers, aides, teachers, coaches, and we're really happy with the people that we put into place. The second item there is intentional collaboration. So one of the first things I was tasked with as the new superintendent was negotiating contracts with both our teachers union and then also our classified staff. And so it took us some time to get there, but we did get there. And we ultimately feel that it was in the best interest of everybody involved, but most especially our students. You're also going to hear tonight about some awards that we've won across the district, starting with our preschool and all the way up to our high school with some of our positive behaviors and steps up to quality reports that we've achieved. And then also you're going to hear about some student programs that we've started that we're really excited about. things like the DSPU, the Bulldog Pride Leadership Academy, ZAP Days, which are across the district and going extremely well. So we're really proud of some of those highlights that we started the year with. And then some additional things that we are pretty proud of as we're heading towards this end of this 24-25 school year is setting a standard, right? I already talked to you about the attendance rate. Our attendance rate right now is higher than it has ever been, and that's a testament to the work that our staff, our administrators, and teachers are doing to make sure that our kids are here every day on time, ready to learn. Our extracurricular participation is off the charts. Our extracurricular participation, whether it's any one of those items that you see listed for you, I would put our school district up against any other school district in the county for the percentages of our students that are actively engaged beyond just the classroom. And then also we're very proud of some of the things that we've done in the court, on the field, and not just in the classroom. We've had some tremendous success with some of the young men and women that are representing our schools, and we really are proud of that, and we hope that again goes back to setting that standard for us. So some things that you may or may not be aware of, I wanted to provide everybody here at the State of the Schools address with a brief Norfolk Southern update. So right in the immediate aftermath of the derailment in February of 23, Norfolk Southern provided us with a $300,000 grant for immediately offsetting the expenses that we would have otherwise brought in, things from track meet revenue, concession stands, programs that we couldn't provide because of the derailment. Shortly after that, and really continuing on for the next year, they provided what I would call micro or mini grants, and those ranged anywhere from $500 to $9,000. So that would be specific people reaching out and saying, hey, I'm doing a fundraiser, would you be able to donate money? So that total is relatively minimal. They did start in May of 2023. The CEO at the time started a senior scholarship fund. He did that personally funded for 2 years. In February of 25, they presented us with a $150,000 marketing and communications fund. The newspaper, and everybody will like to tell you that they provided us with millions of dollars and $750,000, and I will definitively tell you that that is just not true. And so misinformation or miscommunication, but that's just simply not the case. That is, to date, all the money that we've, as a school district, brought in and been provided by Norfolk Southern. They did provide us with other items and services that are not of monetary value, things like cleaning our HVAC system, waxing of our gym floors, some air purifiers throughout the district, track resurfacing, elementary school parking lot paving, and also a football field cleaning. And a lot of those things a lot of those services that they provided were really because they damaged them, right? They damaged the parking lot, they damaged the gym floor. So making sure that they made that right for us. So our next steps as a school district, before I turn it over to Mrs. Woolnagel, who's going to give us a preschool update, our next step, here's the directions that we're going to head in. So the first, and this is currently underway, revising our school district strategic plan. We are working with a really good group of individuals in our district leadership team to making sure that we have this plan in place so that everything that we do is in alignment to what our goals are as a district. And so we're going to be able to present that to everybody sometime next school year, at the beginning of the year. Second is to adapt our district to better meet the needs of our students. So although we're doing a wonderful job of that right now, we still want to make sure that we're hitting all of our students. So whether you're a kindergartner that is struggling learning, or if you're a senior that needs a scholarship to graduate or a pathway to graduate, we want to make sure that we're providing those services to those students. Third, we talked a lot about that already, continuing to monitor student attendance and achievement. We need to desperately upgrade our HVAC systems and our fire detection systems, which I know is an area that we've struggled with as a district so far this school year. We've tried to navigate some of those things and tackle them head on. And some of it has been successful and some of it has not been. So again, think of that arrow going, twisting and turning around. So we know that there's some issues there, and we've already started to put things in place to make sure that we remedy those. And then finally, our next steps is to continue to invest in our additional school safety measures. So you may have heard that we've made a pretty considerable investment in student safety, school safety, with some of our vapor detectors and our screening for visitors to the district, and some of the additional surveillance cameras that we have as well. So our goal is to continue to build off of that and make sure that our students have a safe and productive learning environment that they can come to. And with that, I hope that provides you with a good overview of the school district. I'm going to turn it over to Mrs. Volnagel, who's going to provide a brief update on our preschool and some of the things happening there. And then we'll head into elementary, middle, high, and we'll be back for questions and answers. So, Mrs. Volnagel.
Good evening. I too would like to welcome you to the State of the Schools program. I'm Carol Vonagel, and I am the preschool administrator, amongst other things that I do. Let me see if I can work. We opened our preschool in 2017 with 4 staff members and 2 classrooms. Today, we have in 2022, we added a full-day classroom along with our two half-day classrooms. So we had 5 sessions. This year, we have 3 full-day sessions and 3 half-day sessions. Our full-day kids get gym, art, and music, along with breakfast and lunch in the cafeteria. We utilize Haggerty Reading, that is a phonemic awareness and phonics program. Focuses on rhyming. It uses a kinesthetic approach. The kids learn hand signs and motions to help them remember whether it's rhyming or sounds. We use star reading, which is print awareness. There's a set of books that we read from every day, and then we have star reading at home, so the kids can take the books home and read with their parents. And this is focuses on print awareness. So, what does a capital letter mean? It's either a name or a proper noun. What does an exclamation mark or a question mark mean? So we're not teaching reading necessarily, we're teaching, what does this mean and what does this look like? Wilson writing, if you have kids in the elementary, you're familiar with this. It focuses on letter formation and number formation. And preschool and kindergarten teachers are very good about using rhymes and little songs to teach the letter formation and the number formation. Math is taught mainly through centers. There are some math lessons that are being taught place value. We start as early as 4 years old. We have PBIS, and our PBIS looks a little different, but Mr. Clunan starts the morning with going over what bulldogs are, and all of our preschool kids can say a bulldog is, and of course Mr. Clunan is the man in the ceiling to our preschoolers. Next year we're going to be utilizing a new curriculum called Ready to Advance. The Step Up to Quality is our guidelines for preschool, and so we had to approve a new curriculum, and it'll encompass math, reading, science, social studies, and a social emotional piece also. Currently, we have enrollment of we have 14 3-year-olds, 26 4-year-olds, and 26 5-year-olds. Some of these 5-year-olds just turned 5, and they may be staying another year with us. But for the most part, our 5-year-olds are going on to kindergarten. We have 3 whole-day classrooms and then 2 half-day classrooms. So we had a need for half-day 4-year-olds, but we didn't have enough of them to go into a class by themselves. So we've modified the schedule in one of the classrooms, and those kids leave at 11:45. Our preschoolers score higher than most other kids in kindergarten screening. They're not only the top students, though. I mean, we have other kids that score high, but our preschoolers scored an average of 127.25 out of 163. And 14 scored over 150, with only 6 scoring under 100. And we made up 38 of the 75 students that were screened last year in kindergarten. So this year, EP Preschool was awarded a Gold Star award from Step Up to Quality. And Step Up to Quality is a program designed to improve the quality of early learning experiences for Ohio's children. So this program helps children develop the skills they need. They set the guidelines for us, and a lot of work goes into Step Up to Quality. We had our state licensure come today, of course, and that's a surprise visit. And so we're only missing one piece of paperwork, and it's coming from the ESC. So we will be totally in compliance and ready to roll for next year. And if you have 3-year-olds, 4-year-olds, and even 5-year-olds, consider us when you're looking at preschool for next year.
name is Rob Clune, and I am the elementary school principal. And I have been at East Palestine this is my third school year now, so I'm relatively new, as Dr. Rook had mentioned. And a couple of things that I just wanted to go over before I get into some of the numbers, and just to show you that at East Palestine Elementary School we are growing students. I just wanted to talk about a couple of things really quickly. First of all, when I came 3 years ago, listening to the middle school and the high school talk about the leadership that they were going through, putting their students through and developing their students. And I looked at our building and I thought, we don't really have a leadership group. So one of the first things that we decided that we were going to try to do is we were going to put together a principal's advisory council of our 4th grade students. And the students had to fill out an application. They had to tell why they wanted to be on this advisory council. And then they would come in and we would have meetings and they would talk with me about what's going well and what's not, what they like, what they don't. And it was neat to see these 4th grade students taking that leadership role. And we have developed that over the course of the year to the point where this year our 4th grade students took on some projects, some service projects. And one of the service projects that they did this year was the completion of a collection for the Humane Society, and our students were responsible for advertising it and going around and picking up all the items. And it was great to see our 4th grade students take such a leadership role for something. And that was one of the things that we have definitely developed that we're very proud of at our elementary school. Also wanted to just touch base on the things that we use to teach our students. So for reading, we use something called Foundations at our kindergarten through 2nd grade levels. The Foundations program teaches the phonics skills that the students need to be successful to read. Also teaches the students the skills that they need to be good writers and be able to form letters and write letters on lines and all those good things. And then we use the Wonders program to teach reading, and that is something that we are upgrading to for the years moving forward with our Wonders program. We're very excited to see the continued growth from our students there. As far as the math instruction goes, we use Simple Solutions, which is a spiral review of concepts, a spiral review of skills that the students go back and complete throughout lessons, and we also have a lot of centers and different things like that that we use for math. So that's the background, and then I'll give you the numbers here. Starting with our math. Now we take something called the STAR assessment in the elementary school. This STAR assessment is a valid research-based assessment that links to benchmarks and matches up with the content standards, with Ohio's content standards. And when you see these numbers, you will see the percentage of our students when they took these tests that fell at or above those benchmarks. Students that might be on watch, meaning they're right around those benchmarks, may be a little bit lower. And then our students who needed some intervention. We use this data to make sure that we're looking at students that we need to get that extra help for, as well as those students that we can stretch a little bit and push a little bit. Now, one thing about the STAR assessment, we do take it 3 times during the course of a year. We take it when we get there in the fall, we take it again in the winter, and then we take it again in the spring, and we determine student growth based off of those 3 testing areas. Now, the tests that we're going to talk about grow with the students. So when we look at the numbers in the fall to the numbers in the winter, those tests grow with them. So the tests get more difficult as the students go along, and we're going to talk a little bit more about that. We also then will be taking our spring tests here very soon, and I don't have those numbers yet because we're taking them soon, and I'll be very curious to see how much better our numbers are from even into the spring here. So looking at our math numbers here, you can see the percentage of students when we took our math assessment and where we fell, where our percentage of our students fell. And kindergarten does not take a math assessment, that's why there's no scores for our students on math. But you can see there on the left-hand column, which is one of the main columns that I focus on, when we first came back to school, those students taking that test may have not even seen some of the things that they were testing on yet. So to see those numbers right there is not too bad. Now, as we go forward then to our winter assessment, you can see that our 1st grade, 2nd grade, 3rd grade, and 4th grade all improved their percentage of students who are at or above those benchmarks. and that's, indicated that there in green that those students are growing. So again, we can see that our students are growing in math. Keeping in mind, again, while you look at the numbers, those tests grow with the students. So is the point when the students took these tests in the winter, they're still probably not seeing all of the content yet that are on these tests, because the tests, again, grow with those students. So that would be our math. And again, I'm really excited to see what our students do when they take these tests here in the spring as well. Now looking at reading, again, this would be our fall benchmark. So this would have been when the students returned back to school and when they took that first test. So you can see again where our students ranked, where we had those percentages of students that were at or above proficient in that left-hand column there. Now moving forward, you can see that all of our grade levels, with the exception of first grade, showed pretty good growth there from the fall scores to the winter scores. Now I put an asterisk there by the first grade. And the reason I put an asterisk by the first grade is, while 56% is down a little bit from the students that were at or above proficient on the fall assessment, we have to remember that there is something now in kindergarten and first grade, and maybe even into second grade a little bit, called STAR Early Literacy. So students take a STAR Early Literacy test the first part of their kindergarten, actually their whole kindergarten year, the first part of their first grade year, some of them even maybe into their second grade year. The number of students from first grade that took the early literacy test at the beginning in the fall to taking the regular reading test was very significant. So while that looks like there wasn't growth in our first grade, the fact that those students were actually taking the more difficult test actually shows that there was a lot of growth there. So again, those are our reading and math numbers, and as you can see, we are definitely taking the right steps at the elementary school, and we are definitely growing our students in those academic areas. Now, with education of the whole child comes into PBIS. So what we have a goal for is we have a goal in our elementary school that we are positively recognizing our students as much as possible. And that's where our PBIS team came in. And I'm very proud of our PBIS team at the elementary school. We were able to earn the bronze recognition this past year with the state of Ohio. So that's, I did indicate that on here. And what we did to earn that, when we had our initial PBIS meeting, we wanted to look at what we gave our students, what kind of recognition we gave our students. We wanted to be very consistent with the recognition that we gave our students. We wanted our students to know what was coming, expect what was coming, and try to earn as much as they could from those positive things. I listed for you some of the things that we do here, our positive action slips. These are just slips where teachers catch students doing something really good and they write slips up for them. We read them on the morning announcements. I read them in the cafeteria on Fridays. The kids love hearing their names. They love hearing their names in the cafeteria. They get a sticker. They're very excited about those positive action slips. We've done things called positive office referrals. So instead of a student getting in trouble or getting a write-up where they come down to my office to get in trouble, we catch them doing something really good. They come down to my office like they would if they got in trouble. We call home just like we would if they got in trouble. But instead of saying, your son or your daughter's in trouble, we say, we're very proud of your son or your daughter. They did a great job. They did a great thing. And then we give them a book vending machine token. They get to go pick out a book. We have Bulldogs of the Month. Our teachers pick a student who exemplifies our 5 Bulldog rules, which Mrs. Bulldog talked about, that we say every single morning and we talk about every morning. And then that student gets a little write-up. They get to have their name called at the beginning of the month, and they come down and pick out our PBIS card. We have our Bulldog Wall of Fame. Again, we pick students based off of those 5 Bulldog rules that we have, that they exemplify those 5 Bulldog rules, and we put their names up in the hall. And it's great to see the kids walking by and pointing to their name. There's me, showing their friends. It's really neat to see. We also have cafeteria ice cream winners. When students are caught in the cafeteria doing something good, they get a ticket. Their ticket goes into the drawing, and if they get picked, they win ice cream on Friday. So that's something else that we've done. And then we also are doing a battle of the classes here in the 4th 9 weeks, where students are earning points for their grade levels. We stole this one from the high school, and I think the middle school maybe does it too. We took this from them. We really liked the idea, and we're trying that for the fourth 9 weeks, and it's really neat to see the kids looking at the wall as they go by and looking at the standings. So we wanted to be very consistent with all of these things, and we feel like we have done those things. And due to that, we truly feel that that's why we have seen such an improvement in our student behavior. This is a 2-year comparison. On the left-hand side, we have 23-24 school year. On the right-hand side, this school year, you can see the number of positive action slips that we have written. And every month, those positive action slips have gone up significantly, and our behaviors have gone down. Our negative office referrals have gone down. And on the next slide, you can see that we have had 5,039 positive office referrals this year. So we have had an increase of 883 of those positive office referrals, and our negative office referrals to date, to this day, are down 92 from 237 to 145. So we really feel like our PBIS program is working well, and that we are seeing a lot of improvement from our students and a lot of growth from our students in that respect. Next, I want to shift to attendance. Again, Dr. Rook talked a lot about attendance. We set the goal for our students to try to be in school for 95% of the school days, and you can see there at the top row there, those are our monthly averages or our percentages for the students and when they were there. So this is the actual school days. This is not like total time in seats, looking at hours, things like that. So this is, students maybe came in late, but they were there that day. We are counting those students in this count. And you can see there, we set the goal at 95, and although we have only met that goal, I believe 2 months and been very close once, you can see that every single month we have been over 90% attendance for our students. So again, very happy with our attendance. One of the ways that we try to urge students, or that we always talk with our students about the importance of being at school, and that is our Attendance Hero program. So HERO we have stands for here, every day, ready to learn, on time. And this is where we would take the students and the amount of time that they are actually in school. In order to be a hero, you have to be in school 95% of school hours or more. So you can see there are percentages. Again, those are pretty good percentages, the amount of students who become heroes. We make a list of those students, we put them up on the board, and then from that list, we pick one winner who gets a McDonald's gift card. They get to come down and get their picture taken. And again, we announce their name over the morning announcements, and they really like that. So that was one of the things that we have worked on with our attendance. And then we really try to focus on community engagement at the elementary school. We do at least 2 nights a year where we do a program and we have people come, we invite the community in. Our last one, and I'm focusing on this one because this is one that I'm very proud of. We did a mass reader program this year, and we had teachers who signed up, who came in, they got inflatables or they got costumes, and we read a book to the students. All of the students who came received a copy of that book and got to read along with us, and then when they were done with their part, we would unmask the reader. It was a really neat program. If anybody was at that program that's here, next year we're hoping to make it bigger and better. So if you can kind of tell people how cool it was, I would appreciate that, because again, we want to try to make sure that we get even more people here next year and make that program even bigger and better than it was this year. We also have a lot of times where our grade levels will invite the community in. I just did a list of those things here. You can kind of read down through there and see some of the things that we do where we invite our community in to come in and do things with our students, to watch our students, and to observe the great things that are happening at the elementary school. Okay, that is it for me, so I will go ahead and turn it over to Mrs. Dutton.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Sarah Dutton, and I'm the proud principal of the middle school. So this is my 4th year here. Hard to believe that I am the longest tenured principal in the 4 years. And since I came here, I brought my initiatives of just as we taught in preschool about the ABCs, it goes through 12th grade. We're looking at attendance, we're looking at behavior, and we're looking at classroom success. So starting off with our attendance, as you've heard up until this point, our attendance this year is higher than it's ever been since I've been here. We also use the HERO program. Just realized the screens are split, so it's on the next slide. But as to date, right now, up until today, we have a total of 93.5% attendance for 5th grade, 91.1 for 6th, 91.6 for 7th, and 90.8 for 8th grade. Our goal this year was to get to 92, and as a school right now, we are at 91.8. So we're sitting pretty in regards to making our goal. And looking at the opposite side of it, the chronic absenteeism takes into consideration any student who misses 10% or more of school. And for the 22-23 year, we had 36.3% chronic absenteeism at the middle school, and that was with the adjustments that the state made for the absences or distance learning from the train derailment. Then last year, we made our goal. The state says if we can decrease chronic absenteeism by 3% or more, we have reached our goal for the year. So we dropped down to 32.2%, and I am super excited to announce that right now we're at 28.8%. So over the, even if we were to look at 21-22, we have decreased more than 3% each year. And some of the ways that we do that, we have the HERO program, HERO meaning here every day, ready and on time. And we kind of follow the same process that elementary school does. Any student who's here 95% of the time or more goes into a drawing to win a McDonald's gift card downtown. And each month we have more than half of our students who are attendance heroes. I wish we had more than, a half amount of McDonald's cards to give each one of them. But, they just like hearing that, hey, I'm glad to see you here. And that leads into the next piece, that school-wide focus. Every morning, our amazing school secretary, Janice Cartwright, sends out the attendance list. And I, have bragged over the past several weeks, we are sitting at about 15 to 17 absent students a day. And when, typically of a school of 275 kids, when I look at that list, as long as it's under 27, I'm like, okay, we're under that 10%. Given that we're at that 15, that 17, we have had entire grade levels have perfect attendance in the most recent weeks. And now that we've made it through the winter, which happens to be the toughest time for attendance, I am incredibly excited to see in the next month and a half on where we end up. Our attendance team, last year, we were fortunate to bring Coach Dempster, our football coach, in as a community liaison, working with our attendance program. And he has done a phenomenal job identifying and working with the building principals on creating a full wraparound attendance team. And one of the things that we kind of spearheaded this year, we're the first school in Northeast Ohio to offer a family attendance program. And it was a 4-week program that students who had triggered their state law truancy had the opportunity for both them and their families to come in for Wednesday nights and go through an attendance training program. It was very successful. We at the middle school had 2 families that were part of the program, and both of the families went the entire 4 weeks. And actually, I was really surprised. I told Mr. Dempster that when I saw the kids at one of the nights, they had brought their friends and cousins as well. So it was a positive experience for the kids who were part of it. Our student behavior, we also, we used to have different PBIS pillars at the middle school, elementary school, and high school. And last year, Rob and I teamed up with our teams and said, why don't we make a collective K-8? So as students actually, even in pre-K, are hearing that Bulldogs are safe, responsible, friendly, respectful, and cooperative. Now they're going to look a little bit different in pre-K than they do in the elementary, but it's really neat to see the kids coming from elementary with those same concepts, and those are the same things that we're reiterating. We have a monthly focus, so each month we go through. Right now for April is friendly, so that's kind of our focus that we're looking to recognize kids. They learn about what each one of these pillars means when they're in their soft skills class, as well as our PBIS team has made videos to show what it means to be responsible or what it does not mean to be respectful, and they included the students in making those videos, and they turned out really nicely. So our goal for behavior was that we were going to decrease office referrals written by teachers by 10%. For the school year last year, we had 168 office referrals written. This year, office referrals written by teachers have decreased to 72. So I really attribute a lot of that to our incredible PBIS team. We also were recognized last year by the state as a bronze PBIS school. We have a MTSS tier support score behavior, and Mrs. Rao, if you can say hello to everyone. Mrs. Rao is our tier 3 behavior specialist, and she works tirelessly with our students who have those tough behaviors. And as the principal, she is such a blessing to have in your building, because there are a lot of districts, especially of our size, that do not have a licensed behavioral clinician in them. So I'm very, very thankful for you, Mrs. Rao. We also have Insight Clinical Counseling that work directly with our students in school. This was something that was brought to the district. Insight was last year, and in the 2 years at the middle school level, we are now at 22% of our students are receiving these services that are provided through Insight, whether it be through the TBS workers, the therapeutic behavioral support staff, and I see 2 of these awesome guys in the back, Mr. Greg and Mr. Tristan, or through the clinical counseling piece. And our students who have trauma backgrounds, who are dealing with things at home or in their personal lives, are able to take time during their lunch, during their small group session, and have their counseling right here on campus, so you as the parents don't have to drive them after school and miss activities or whatever. Our student and teacher relationships, I did not have enough room on the slide to put nearly as a glimpse of the relationships that our staff and our students have with their kids. Just to point out that one in the middle where it's the girls holding up something, that was family dinner one day in Mrs. Wagner's class. They can earn, and she makes them these beautiful homemade cookies. One of our PBIS initiatives is the Willow Wall. So Willow is our live bulldog mascot that belongs to the Bastarkis, so kids can cash in PBIS points and get their picture with Willow hung up through the building. And then down in the corner, I'm really appreciative of our Unlocking Potential mentorship group that we have. They are funded through the United Way and led through Christy Camperman at Comco, and I know I see one mentor. Any other mentors that I missed? Awesome. So if that's something that you may be interested in, tell them, how awesome is it, Mr. Allison? We meet once a month, have lunch, play games, do crafts with our kids who are assigned to the mentorship program, and to see the excitement on the kids. That's probably the #1 question that I receive from our students is, when is the next time our mentors are coming? So if you happen to be home during the day and you'd be interested in serving as a mentor, please see me afterwards and I will gladly include you. Our academic achievement. So Dr. Rook had mentioned the value added. So the way that the state goes and adjusts that growth piece that we scored the 1 out of 5 stars on the state report card isn't just whether or not kids pass the test. But what it looks at is, where were the kids when they started the year? Where are they when they end the year? So as our 5th graders come over, they have the testing scores from when they were in 4th and 5th grade. The 8th graders have the testing scores from they used the 3 prior years, so 5th, 6th, and 7th grade. And they're given a projection on how they should score based on their prior testing data. So what we look at is, where are they and where do we need to get them? We want to be able to keep our higher level kids, maybe those who are identified as gifted, at their higher level while bringing up the kids who are struggling. And in the 22-23 year, out of our 11 tested subjects, we had 6 of which had positive growth in that subject. The year before, I didn't put it on here, but the year before we were at 3. So we went from 3, 6 to 8. And my goal this year is that we are going to have a positive growth index on every tested subject area. Not meaning that every kid is going to pass the test, but every kid is going to perform at a higher level than the state expects them to. We had 52 kids, more kids on honor roll and merit roll this year than we did last year. We instituted a small group intervention period where students who are not in band have the opportunity to get either that intervention or enrichment for their education. We use iReady reading and math, and those of you who have middle schoolers, I'm sure they just love this program. However, these numbers are astonishing. This year, our students passed 20,096 lessons in reading. That's 20,096 levels that they did not pass on Fortnite. Think about it. 275 kids passed 20,000 lessons. And in math, we passed 16,460 lessons. The kids take a diagnostic in the fall, in the winter, and in the spring. Obviously, we haven't taken the spring one yet, but from the fall to the winter, we saw 30% school-wide, 30% of our students move up an entire grade level in reading, and 44% in math. Not be where they should be, but make that much growth in a matter of 6 months. As far as where they should be, we had 51% of students where they should have been in reading, move up to 62%. So we had 11% growth from fall to winter. And I'm hopeful that when we, right now we're in the middle of state testing, the work that they have put in with this program, along with what they're doing in the classrooms, will shine. Again, lots of fun pictures of what's happening in the classroom. The picture at the top, the WKBN, and Mrs. Wagner, who leads our GATE program for gifted students. She and her kids got to go down and see what it looks like behind the scenes. As you see in the middle, we have a connection, partnership with Ohio State Extension, and they brought in hydroponic planters for kids, and they actually got to plant them, watch them grow, and then Paige from the department came in, and she taught the kids how to use those herbs and spices to be able to make food, and they made like salsa and pasta sauce and things like that. It was really neat. In the middle, we just finished our March Madness competition for iReady, and it came down to 5th grade one for ELA and for math. So then the final competition was whether it was going to be math wins or reading wins. And 96% of the 5th grade completed their math lessons in the final week, and only 92 in reading. So there's that bragging going on if you have a 5th grader with the math portion. And then finally, just kind of looking at our culture, our kids have so many opportunities to get involved. We try to celebrate both our students and our staff with opportunities and ways to make East Palestine Middle School, just like the billboard says as you enter our town, we want it to be a place where students want to be. And I think that we have a really nice mixture of working hard and playing hard, and I attribute that back to why our attendance has been outstanding. Thank you.
All right, guys. My name is Dwayne Pavkovich. I am the high school principal. I've been in the district here for 10 years. I was the athletic director before I was named high school principal. Obviously, I want to thank Dr. Rook and the Board of Education for bestowing this great honor upon me. And hopefully, we are able to make an impact in each and every one of our kids in this district's lives. I'm not very smart, so I try to keep things very simple. And when when thinking about what we wanted to get out of the high school this year and where we want to go, our primary focus was on culture. We wanted to create an atmosphere where kids want to be, where kids, they want to come every day, and it's something where they feel like they are safe, but yet, it is very important for them. Obviously, none of this would be accomplished without, our great staff we have in our high school. First and foremost, our staff is bought into, what the vision was for where we wanted to go. We have phenomenal teachers here in the building, and we've been able to empower them, and I could not be more grateful for the level of confidence they had in the direction we want to go. So first up, I think the number one metric, in terms of trying to figure out are we having success with getting kids here in school and kids enjoying themselves is our attendance. Obviously, you guys can see the first thing that stands out is March. March is probably the best month in the 10 years I've been here in terms of having students show up to school. Obviously, we had a little winter lull there, but overall, we couldn't be happier. And I think from a metric standpoint, it shows that we are starting to create a culture that kids, they want to come, be a part of, and learn in. So, in comparison, up to, we're at the third 9 weeks, we just finished up, and I think this is a great example. If you look at, 9th, 10th, and 11th grade, look at the improvement from, last year to this year. This year, obviously, being the column on the left, we are seeing remarkable improvement in students, showing up. And obviously, if we're getting students to show up and they're involved in participating, then one would think that these students are learning more than if they weren't in school. But again, this has kind of been my driving point in terms of where we want to go with stuff. Is we want kids here, we want them having a positive experience. We want them involved. So at this point, going through the third 9 weeks, and each one of these 9 weeks improving throughout the course of the year, I feel like we're hitting our mark on this. From a behavior standpoint, we're very fortunate. Between myself and Mr. Wells, I think our students, and I think if you ask any student in this high school, we have very clear expectations for what is acceptable and unacceptable behavior, while you're on the school grounds here. Now, when you look at it, we have it broken down here by 9 weeks, whether it's referrals, detentions, ISR, and OSS. Obviously, we see a spike here in the second 9 weeks. Well, we can thank Dr. Rook. We installed vape detectors in our high school restrooms. Students, they learned that, that's something that they should not be doing on school property. Some had to learn a lesson a couple times, but I can say right now, probably since that spike in the second 9 weeks, I think we've had maybe 2 or 3 times where students were caught, vaping on facilities. But again, I go back to, I feel very confident when we have our grade level meetings at the beginning of each year, we lay out a clear expectation of, what we expect. And, we also, we feel very strongly that we have to support our teachers in trying to create an environment where they're able to teach those lessons. So, we very much, we very much have laid out these expectations, and I will say that our students have fell in line, and I'm very happy with where our discipline numbers are. Obviously, nothing's ever perfect. You're never going to see zeros there. Which, as you can see, improvement is something that's happened, and I'm venturing to say that our fourth 9 weeks will be better. Right now, we're currently in state testing. As you guys can see, we are all the way up through Algebra 1, which the students took yesterday and today. Biology will go the tomorrow with geometry on April 10th. We will have another makeup day. We moved 2 makeup days in there for kids that are absent, stuff like that. Testing happened a little sooner this year because of where Easter fell. Obviously next year we will see later in April. But just so that we weren't breaking things up for our students, we felt like we wanted to get everything done before we went on to Easter break. End of the year calendar, obviously in the high school time, there's we're always trying to crescendo to graduation. And it's so different with how the school year goes. Pointing out some stuff for seniors, as they make their way to the graduation stage, and ultimately, up to this point, every principal that you heard from, everything we were doing, everything we're talking about, is trying to get our students to, which is the most important part, is to graduate at commencement. That is the goal. Everything that we do, and all the statistics, data, all that stuff you guys look at, that you guys saw tonight is to put our kids in the best situation possible for them to graduate in some aspects, for them to go out and be employable in the world, or for them to enroll into a college or a trade school that they're choosing, or they enlist in the military. But everything we do is with that focus in mind. But for senior parents, you can see where the top 10 breakfast is. I'm going to talk about the Kennywood trip and other things here later. One thing and part of trying to create that positive atmosphere is we want to recognize kids. We want to recognize them for doing positive and doing things that that we stress. Each month we select a student of the month. We've been very fortunate that we're very diverse and in our students. These are picked by their teachers. At the TBTs, which are weekly meetings. Whether it be grade level or content level at the high school. But these are students that are selected by their teachers for meeting expectations, not just academically, but behaviorally, extracurricularly, and those types of things. So we're looking at the whole child. Again, to go along with the great staff that we have, we probably could have multiple staff members each month. But for each month, you guys can see the teachers in it. The teachers that were awarded Staff Member of the Month, which is, to me, I think is awesome, and it's voted on by the students. These are who the students who the students feel make an impact in their day-to-day lives, and is giving it all for them to make sure that they're having a great education here in East Palestine. One thing I was big on as we move into was opportunity. I wanted to increase opportunities for our students. Obviously, when it comes to opportunities, all we think about is a traditional pathway. We're going to graduate, we're going to go to college, that type of stuff. But we have a much more diverse group in terms of 13% of our students go on to college. That's not a bad thing. It just means that is from where we are from a location standpoint, where the opportunities are. There's nothing that says that you have to go to college to be successful in life. Obviously, we want to create an environment, and we want to make sure that any student that wants to go to college has the funding and has the necessary skills to be successful in college. But there's also students that's not the track they want to go. We were very fortunate. We were one of the few programs, I believe, one or two programs in the state that partnered with OA, DSP, and Threshold Residential Services to provide a DSPU internship for our seniors. This program provides training and a paid internship. $17 an hour is what the paid internship pays. That's a great wage for a high school senior as they're getting experience, and it's leading also to a credential. It also leads to a national certification where they choose to stay in that type of career, then they have the national certification, but it can also lead to a variety of different opportunities. This year we have 2 students participating in it. One student has already completed it and is already doing the work. Another thing is that we've created Leader of the Pack and Leader of the Pack Junior. Ms. Randolph does a phenomenal job with this, and the thought process behind this is that we wanted to create a peer mentoring program that focuses on leadership culture in the PBIS matrix, things that we want to stress and things that we want the expectation to be known by the time they step foot here in the high school, what we're trying to do here. These students go over what, during lunch periods and stuff like that to both buildings, and again, it gives them something, we want our the young guys in our community to have people they can look up to and to model after those appropriate behaviors. Additional opportunities for students, we created the Bulldog Leadership Pride Academy. Just to give a synopsis of that, it's basically we're gonna have a program that's gonna create and teach people how to be leaders. We're gonna give them opportunities. We're gonna put them in leadership roles. We're gonna have them involved in stuff. EP Think Tank is one of the things. The think tank is also being worked with the CIC, so our students are being able to be brought in on, be involved in decisions, that could affect the community. We focus on vision and values for leadership. A couple things that we go that help with these vision and values is one thing that we talked about is creating impact and action. We have them do a variety of things with that. We have the Chick-fil-A Leadership Lab. One of the things we always stress is act as if what you do makes a difference, because it does. There's something the matter with being a great servant leader. Do Good December projects. We were involved in 3 of them this year. They were at Caring Hands, Sam's Workshop, Christian House, Coventry House. We already finalized plans for a Spring Impact project, which we're going to beautify around the school with landscaping and different things like that. That's something the students chose after they surveyed a couple different sites. We put them in that leadership position. We put them in a decision-making position, and that's what they came with. We will continue to work with Roberta and the CIC, and then EP Place Making Project, the student engagement is part of that also, with the CIC. All right, end of the year incentives. One thing with PBIS is one thing we want to reward our kids for them buying into and believing in the expectations and the cultures that we have set here at the high school. The end of the year incentive is any student that earns 30 or more points. Those are pride points, and we're going to pay for them to attend Kennywood on May 2nd. It's a trip. We'll take a charter bus out there. It'll be a fun day for them. It's actually Education Day at Kennywood. And then one thing that's new this year, you heard Mr. Clue make mention of it. One thing we wanted to do is kind of have something to bring everything together with our building culture and the PBIS framework. We created Battle of the Classes, and the class that wins the Battle of the Classes, they will go to the Akron Zoo on May 23rd. So Battle of the Classes right now, as you guys can see, I do have to have some numbers up on the screen here. The number of positive slips that our teachers have written with kids that are doing, the right thing. And it's not just, hey, Johnny brought a pencil to class. It's Johnny got an A on a test. Johnny helped out, Lizzie because she's having a tough time, whether it be a social situation or something like that. As you guys have heard, probably ZAP, Dr. Workin talked about, ZAP stands for Zeros Aren't Permitted. We will have another ZAP day. One thing I think is that too many times, we allow kids to fail. That's something that we don't want to allow kids to fail. And what ZAP days are is it's a day where kids that have missing assignments, you'd be amazed at the amount of points that high school kids just throw away because they don't turn the assignment in. We have a day where we gather up, the teachers gather up all the missing assignments for their classes and the students that are missing those assignments. We actually have a draft. Teachers get together and they start picking kids to help them with making up these assignments. I think it's great. It's not too many times where a kid that may not have had a ton of rewards or someone you may think that would be a first pick in an academic setting is because we want to help these kids and we want to help them to achieve their graduation goal. So they get a half a day. We're going to make up as much work as they can so they don't have zeros, so they're not throwing points away. The kids are then, in the PBIS framework, the kids that have all their assignments turned in, have no missing work, they are then offered some type of reward, whether it may be showing a movie in the media center, going bowling, something that I said, some type of meaningful reward for the kids. As you guys can see, we have really emphasized attendance, discipline, the academic part with the honorable merit role, and then we have other activities that we do, things to just create a positive culture in our building and make it enjoyable for our kids. Those are all figured into a point system where now the class has the most points at the end of the year is a true battle of the class's champion. We wanted to create, a competitive game where, we are emphasizing all the things that we expect or, is expected out of the school day. This is the first year we're doing it. I believe, and again, maybe I have rose-colored glasses on, but I believe it's really helped our culture in our building, and it's helped kids, one, want to be at school, and two, it helps them to, want to participate and want to be a member for their class. All right, well, thank you guys very much.
So that actually takes us to our questions and answer portion of the evening. I don't believe I saw any questions being placed in the basket over there, but we are, and I say we, all the administrators here will be hanging around for you after we conclude. If you have any specific questions that you want to ask, we're going to be available for you. Maybe you don't want to ask a question in front of the group. So tonight, in the last hour or so, you've heard about the great things going on at our preschool and the progress being made. You heard about our elementary school and the number of opportunities that we afford those youngest students. You heard about the academic progress being made at the middle school and all the great opportunities that we afford students at the high school in order to get them to graduate. By being here, I just can't thank you enough for having that interest in our students' education and that investment in the East Palestine community. So with that being said, again, thank you. We'll be hanging around for any questions that you may have, and please help yourself to the refreshments up here. Thank you again.